we have a duty to protect our citizens, and it is for these reasons that we carry out our operations across the country to make sure that citizens are protected and our territorial, our territory and our territorial integrity as a country is also secured. Now, when we cannot do this through peaceful means, we have no choice but to use our military might to do it. In the incident that happened on the 25th of December, I've already explained that that operation would have taken place earlier. But because of the painstaking measures that we know that we need to put in, we decided to hold it to make sure that those that were seen at that location were indeed terrorists, Lakurawa terrorist group. And we did that by sending human intelligence to confirm. And they got back to us and confirmed that, yes. And it was thereafter that we carried out a joint operation, a combined synchronized operation with the Air Force and Ground Forces. Air Force carried out precision strikes using precision munitions. After the strikes, the military, the land component on the ground moved on the site. And what did they confirm? They confirmed that, yes, the strikes hit the objective. That is that. I have said so much on that. Now, I spoke about secondary explosions because one of the targets was a logistic base of the terrorists in the community. When I talk of logistic base, I'm talking of arm cartridges and pole that were kept there. So naturally, when the munition hits that, there will be secondary explosion arising from that, which will generate, other things flying in the air, which was what led to the death of about 10 persons that were reported. The 10 persons reported were not hit directly by the airstrikes. The people that were hit directly by the airstrikes were the Lakurawa terrorist groups, and they were burnt beyond recognition. Now, to the report about the usage of drones. I don't think that there's need for any unnecessary panic about the usage of drones. We are in a war against terrorists and against insurgents across our country. And all you need to look is not far from what you see happening in Ukraine, Russia, Israel, Hamas, and all that. The use of drones in the battlefield is not new. Now, when we are talking of drones now, please, we don't want unnecessary panic because these are not professional drones, not military-graded drones. These are toys that they went to buy and found a way to put one or two things on board and use them. How effective were they? They were not effective. Are we doing something about it? Yes, we are. Since we now know that this is where they are thinking and their thought is going, we have in place measures to forestall future of such attacks. I don't call them really attacks, I call them harassment, because those are harassment. Next is the issue of foreign base in Nigeria. We do not have any foreign base in Nigeria. We've said this more than enough times. We do not have any foreign base in Nigeria. Anyone who is saying that is trying to be mischievous, is trying to be misleading, and definitely has an agenda. When it comes to foreign base, we do not have. Whether any country, there is no foreign base in Nigeria. And the reasons are also not far-fetched. We do not want our country to be a ground for proxy war. Okay? We don't want our country to be a ground for proxy war. You accept one person, the enemy of that person will start following you. That is proxy war. We don't want that. So anywhere you hear anybody talking like that, I think they are talking like that as a distraction. I heard one of the African leaders say something like that. That's a distraction from him tackling the problem in his country. I will just leave it at that. It is our duty to defend our people, and in so doing, if not through peaceful means, then through the force of arms. Accordingly, on the 25th of December, a coordinated joint operation was conducted between the air component and the land component of Operation Fansenyama to destroy Lakurawa terrorist groups in their hideout at Gidan Bisa and Gidan Rutua in Jirukon forests, Sokoto State. Prior to this operation, there was confirmed and heightened terrorist activities in the area. Accordingly, sustained intelligence, surveillance, reconnaissance was conducted for extended period of time to confirm the presence of the terrorists hibernating there, and to also make sure that those in that location were indeed terrorists. Indeed, because of the painstaking measures, the operation, which should have taken place on an earlier date, had to be rescheduled to the 25th when that operation was conducted. The operation was planned as a joint effort to leverage the air component precision strikes capability and the land component ability of having the boots on the ground. Now, how was this operation conducted? It started with pre-operational intelligence, surveillance, and recognition missions to confirm the terrorist activities within the general area. Thereafter, human intelligence were deployed, and their reports collaborated the intelligence, surveillance, and recognition findings, emphasizing the strategic importance of neutralizing the location. Having confirmed, aircrafts were dispatched to conduct precision airstrikes on the identified hideouts at about 0600 hours on that day. The strike was executed with precision-guided munitions to minimize collateral damage. The land component was tactically deployed at blocking positions around the target location to prevent the escape of the Lakurawa terrorist groups, as well as to provide immediate post-strike assessment and follow-up actions. Following the airstrikes, ground forces moved into the area to assess the strike's impact. The ground forces confirmed that the hideout was successfully neutralized with minimal damage observed in the surrounding villages. The ground forces interacted with the locals in the area, and they confirmed the presence of the Lakurawa terrorists in that general area. The ground forces also confirmed that the airstrikes achieved its primary objective of neutralizing the Lakurawa terrorist group's hideouts. The destruction of the key infrastructure of the terrorist groups was also confirmed, as well as the effectiveness of the strike was confirmed by the ground forces that were on site. Surviving Lakurawa terrorist groups combatants fled the area immediately after the strike, particularly as they had better knowledge or familiarity of the terrain. Others among them were neutralized. Locals confirmed that the Lakurawa terrorists stayed in the village and used the general area as a staging area for the conduct of their operations. Also, intelligence surveillance and reconnaissance, as well as human intelligence report prior to the operation, consistently indicated the hideout was a high concentration terrorist location. The airstrike, at the end of the day, had minor impact on the surrounding villages. The airstrike indeed hit logistic base of the terrorists, which led to secondary explosions, and it was these secondary explosions that led to some casualties that was earlier reported. The neutralized Lakurawa terrorist combatants were burnt, indeed, beyond recognition, because they were hit directly by the strikes. It is also noted that the terrorists are known to blend within the local populace. We knew about this, and it is for this reason that we painstakingly made sure that we minimized civilian casualty in this strike. And because the terrorists blend among the civil populace, it is often difficult to differentiate friend from foe. In summarizing, I would say that troops target terrorists and not innocent citizens. Having said that, we must also remember that war is ugly and horrible in every sense. War is never beautiful, and it is the worst human endeavor ever. This is the reason we often come out and explain what we are doing in the field, knowing that by so doing, we have a better chance to deny the enemy to manipulate things and use it for their purposes or to their advantage. Every innocent soul lost in the course of our operation is a tragedy. And we do sympathize with their loved ones and their families whenever such occurs. But we must be reminded that our troops are very professional in their actions and are indeed turning the tide against the insurgents and terrorists. We encourage citizens and say that together we make extraordinary difference, even as ordinary people. We call on your support always. And We want to thank the people in that community that tremendously helped our operation to be this successful.